Hello, everyone. Welcome to Orange and Brew, the podcast where we married our two favorite pastimes, the Denver Broncos and beer. I am JT Matthews. I am here with my esteemed hosts, co-hosts, I should say, rather, Dr. Nicholas Manning at DR_N Manning on Twitter and Instagram, and John Cronenberg at Jon Kay NFL. How are we doing today, boys? Doc, how you feeling? Today is game one of the NBA Finals. And our Denver Nuggets.
I know it's a Broncos podcast that we've been doing for quite some time, but we rep where credit is due. We always have, we always will. I'm pumped. It's going to be electric. It's going to be electric.
100%.
Woogie.
John, how you feeling?
I'm doing well. Like you said, we're all getting ready for the Nuggets game. I don't care what the weather is like outside. I'm just going to be focusing on the TV, watching the game. Just really excited to finally get this going and hopefully get a Nuggets W, which I sense. I don't know about you guys.
No, it'll be a what gets W.
I think so. I have this nice what's the word? Routine now with my buddy that I go to his house.
Yeah.
And for the fourth quarter, we get in his hot tub and he has a projector outside and we watch the fourth quarter of the game. And it makes wins great and it makes losses more tolerable.
Yep.
So it's just it's a win-win is all I can say.
That's fair.
And you both are rocking some great Nuggets hats, I have to admit.
Yeah, we got the Nugs gear.
Yeah, so I was going to tell you, I was watching game 4 at 1UP at my buddy's birthday party on Saturday. Guy walks by, says, "Hey, is that Florida?" I said, No, it's not.
Oh, gross.
Yeah.
I'm sure that made you especially happy as a Florida State fan.
Well, no, it's like the bread and butter of calling it 303. It's like the one that you should know. Like if it's 970, I'll give it to you. Like no offense to
719s and
maybe you don't know, but I don't even think it's close. Like I don't know what Florida, but just what? But you don't see like the Nuggets, like you can't. And I'm wearing my Nuggets hat at the time. Like what?
Yeah,
you didn't. It's all there.
It's all. Yeah, it's literally all there, man.
You got to read
watching the Nuggets game.
Yeah, context clues. I mean, they're important.
You think I was at the bar though, so
fair enough. Yeah. We don't always have the best,
objective reasoning skills at that point in time.
Yeah, exactly.
A little diminished.
Well, we need to talk about some Broncos, even though I could spend this whole time talking about the Nuggets. We're here to talk about the Broncos, so let's talk some Broncos. We're going to start with some news. Let's start with the Broncos have signed a new place kicker by the name of Elliott Fry. Elliott Fry, right? For some reason, I second guess that.
Every time I hear it now, I think of the character from Futurama.
Yeah, I do as well.
Yeah.
28-year-old kicker entered the NFL in 2017. He's going to be our replacement for Brandon McManus, which some lofty shoes to fill, some cleats to fill. And I'm wondering how we're feeling about it overall. Doc, you have any strong feelings about a new place kicker? I'll just get out in front of this and say, as long as he does his job, I don't really care. And he seems like capable enough. I don't have strong feelings. Doc, you have strong feelings?
Yeah, I equate this to, you're dating someone, they're a little high maintenance. And finally you're like, I can't do it anymore. Can't do it. There's a lot to you. Cost me a lot of money. We got to move on. And then you get back out in the pool and you find someone and it's just because they're available at the time.
Right.
Rebound. So I don't know that we should get used to Elliott Fry. And I don't even know what number he's going to wear, and I probably won't learn it because I don't know that he'll be here long.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it seems to be the typical carousel now with kickers in the NFL. You just kind of, you find one that has a little experience and a little bit that, someone that does their job adequately enough, and then you move on to the next one that is kind of a money-friendly team deal.
And Sean Payton is that dude. He was that dude. We talked about that in the last podcast. He's that guy that it's game to game. That would be quite a motivator for a guy like Elliott Fry, who probably doesn't want to go back to whatever job he is doing. to support himself.
Fair enough.
Probably kick. So, I'm going to go out there and do my job every week because I don't have much guaranteed, and I want to stick around. So I don't know that he'll hang, but I don't know that he won't.
Oh, I can't hear John. Can you hear John?
No.
You muted.
That's
yourself.
on me. Sorry, guys. Want to say hi to Graham real quickly.
Hi, guys.
What's up?
Yeah, if you have any opinions on Elliot, please let us know. We'll definitely take your thoughts. Wait, here we go. He was a fry cook.
Oh,
what do you guys?
Yeah, I like that.
I mean, no one can turn down a good fry.
Good fun.
Him and SpongeBob SquarePants, right?
That's right. So for me, with this move, obviously, like you're saying, it removes some drama away from the kicking room, the special teams room. I don't think this is, the final move the Broncos necessarily make at kicker. They might bring in someone else. I have no insight on that, to lead me to believe it. But, I just feel like they're going to look for someone else. You can see how Fry does. He doesn't have much experience in the NFL. I think he was 5 for 6 in his career. It's been over a few places, Cincinnati. I think he was in Minnesota at one point. So really, at this point, there's a lot left to be desired, and we'll see that actually in camp. So let's see how he holds up in camp, and if he can keep up with the, essentially, I'm hoping some competition that when it rolls around.
Yeah, there will be veteran place kickers available. I think you run him through camp, maybe a preseason game or two, see how he looks, and then if not, you can go to the scrap heap and get aging vet Tom and go figure it out. I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, I think they'll be all right. Let's run through some other news.
Sorry, I just want to say real quick hi to Jolene. She said last year we had a punter competition. It came down again to money, I felt like, versus, substance.
I mean, it really did, essentially, right? It was which that's kind of what it was this year, I think. If Brandon McManus made peanuts, he'd probably still be here. But you got to love a kicker competition. It wouldn't be Broncos country without it. Got to have some kind of news headline when it comes to competition battles. We had QBs. That one ended, and then we had to get a kicker and a punter. So,
yeah, it looks like we have some technical difficulties from John, so we're gonna he'll join us back in a second. We got some storms going on around our area, so I think it's messing with some stuff.
It is,
of course, day one this happens.
Yeah.
But Jolene, thanks for watching. We appreciate you as always.
Always.
A few other little pieces of news. Let's go. Kareem Jackson got a 1-year deal, $2.6 million with $152,500 signing bonus. The cap number's about 1.3 mil, which it seems to be a pretty good deal for the Broncos. He wants to be here. He's someone that's been here for some time, a veteran guy that could come in and fill that space. So I'm not sure that it means anything for, the names that are already on the roster, Caden Stearns and whatnot. But always a good piece to bring back for some depth at the very least.
Yeah, I think it doesn't say anything, but it says a lot. It's the veteran leadership back there. It raises the floor of that room. I don't know that you're coming in to take a starting position, especially kind of with that salary, but he'll have a role, just not sure what role that might be. The interesting part for that, as well as Cam Fleming signing his 1-year, $2.1 million deal with $850 in guarantee, is both of those gentlemen together are at about, a combined $1 million in guarantees for two vets that started most, if not all, of the games last year. So that, to me, I think is pretty impactful that you have both of those players that if for some reason you had an ascending player or maybe someone comes available at a different position, you can create some cap space pretty quick with moving on from those guys. So just something interesting to note, that the guarantees, in my opinion, are really low, and especially for Kareem. That was something that I paid attention to. I don't know what it'll mean long-term, but it's something.
We got John back. He's back.
Hey, sorry, guys. Yeah, with the thunderstorm going on right now, had a big thunder, and it just went all out. So I have the internet going again, so I'm back.
No worries. We were just talking about Kareem Jackson and Cam Fleming coming back. A few other little pieces of news. Broncos cut Jacques Patrick to make room for tight end Hudson, and then Broncos brought on defensive tackle Tyler Lancaster, a 6-year vet for $1.08 million.
I mean, this is probably going to be what sinks the team. Patrick, Florida State alum, phenomenal player, just hasn't really found the right opportunity.
Totally.
Kind of like the Drew Lock of running backs.
We can't come back from it. We can't.
If he just had a chance to show what I'm just kidding.
Running backs are definitely not a dime a dozen in the NFL.
They are, no, you can't just trip and fall and land on those guys.
No,
but
absolutely not.
I bet that he would be a guy that they might call, if they're underwhelmed with that, he'll probably be a guy that gets a quick call. We shall see. But it's interesting because Tyreek McAllister got cut for the second time in a couple weeks. Both of those guys are bigger, bigger, taller guys. So interesting that maybe they moved away from that archetype. So something to know.
Yeah, for sure. I think that is all the news for the day.
Real quick, I just wanted to say, with the running backs being cut, what does that say to you about Tyler Batty? Was on the roster, was able to get it, show some really good promise by the end of the year, as he was able to, again, finally get some reps. What are your thoughts on him? Does he kind of fit into the Broncos roster moving forward?
That's a good question. I don't have strong feelings about it. Doc, maybe you do. I like Batty. I think he's got some upside. I think he could push for some reps in training camp. I like some of the veteran guys they have on the roster already, like Tony Jones. I think a lot of people don't. I mean, he's had a cup of tea in the NFL, but I like what he brings, and I like the little bit of experience. The further you go. So I don't know that you want to roster a ton of young guys, but Batty's definitely got a spot. He's just got to earn it.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. So we had a couple people note that, right? So within the comments, McLaughlin is we talked about Batty and McLaughlin are two players that provide a pretty similar body archetype, some skill set, can catch the ball in the backfield, have some returner experience. I think McLaughlin in my opinion, is someone that I think I'm higher on than Tyler Batty, who I also like. I think McLaughlin has at least more experience in really being a between the tackles kind of guy. So if you want to be able to utilize that as a potential Darren Sproles, he can play all three downs, not necessarily use them all three downs. I think that would be the player to go if you really are looking for more gadget, all that kind of stuff. I would say both of those players will probably add to the Montreal Washington is obsolete. Both of those players probably do some similar stuff, but have more experience in the backfield, which is, I think right now more valuable. So that'll be interesting. It'll be interesting camp battle between those guys.
Yeah, for sure. Well, before we get into the schedule prediction stuff, I think we need to drink some beer. So it is officially beer time.
Ooh, beer time.
Let's do it.
Oh, it is beer time, boys, and we are drinking. I know, I love that. That's great. Thank you, Mike, for making that for us.
Yes.
It's solid all the way around. What are we drinking today, Doc? You and I, we have synced up. We are drinking the same beers lately. And one of my favorite breweries, Great Divide, is providing our beers lately.
Yeah. So we're going with a Titan India Pale Ale. So it's brewed and canned here in the great state of Colorado, here in Denver, Colorado. So I'm super pumped about this bad boy. Little clean, crisp archetype.
Very
really
nice.
like the Spartan guy right here.
Yeah.
Big fan of. Excited. India Pale Ales are delicious. So I expect that, and I better deliver.
Yeah, we got some hop heads on this podcast. And Titan I've had before. It's been a while, actually.
Yeah.
And they have a double IPA that I get probably more often, I think, called Hercules. Good option also, but this is going to be a nice balanced IPA. We'll see. I know the design's great, right, Graham?
Also want to add it's 7.1 ABV, so
it's good.
So-
It's not
strong.
It's not crushable, probably like some of our favorite beers are.
We'll
but
see when you taste it, though.
speak for yourself.
I think 7. I mean, if you're crushing 7.1s, you're doing God's work over there. I don't know.
Hey,
I can't keep up with that.
I am a
That's true. You can't really see it, but Prince or King Nick back there.
Lord.
Lord,
My
King,
lord.
Yeah.
Lord King Dr. Nick.
Yeah, just letting you know.
All right, you ready to pop these babies open?
Let's go, baby.
Pop it. 3, 2, 1. Ooh, snappy.
That sounded good.
I know. This always looks good. Always sounds good. Great Divide too. Great tap room. So if you're ever in Denver, check them out. Lots of hoppy beers, which I talked about on our last pod with a different beer. Lots of hoppy beers. Lots of good options there. Check them out. It's worth it. They're one of my favorite breweries in Denver, if not my favorite. Good beer in Denver. What can I say? You got lots to choose from.
Sugar.
Cheers, even though you started without me.
I did because it was planned.
It was coming for you.
Yeah, it was it had its own agenda.
Fair enough.
Yeah, definitely hoppy. You can taste it for sure.
Yeah. Are you a fan right off the bat?
Yeah, it's a little bit more like a little more bitter. It's been a bit since we've had a beer with kind of that bite to it, but I like it. It's a good change of the palate.
Avatar,
And
what's up?
What's up? What gets Wation?
What? That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Titan. Again, it's nice and balanced. It's not. Sometimes you get those IPAs that are a little fruit forward, maybe some grapefruit tones. This one's not so much, and it's even got a little bit of a malty body to it, which you don't always catch that in IPAs. Usually, you get a shot of hops, and that's about it.
Right.
This one I think is a little more balanced. It doesn't hit you too hard.
Yeah.
And that increased ABV, it's just a bonus.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
It's just here for the people.
So I'm guessing it's a dub for you, a big W.
Yeah, it's a W.
A wub for the Nugs.
Let's go.
I agree. It's a W. John, we got to go back to Broncos talk though.
Let's do it.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Perfection. All right, we're getting into the depth of this podcast. So if you are, I don't know, that was weird. Don't give me looks like that while we're live. Come on, we are going to do some predictions. We saved this for our live stream because we thought it was good content. So we're going to go through the Broncos schedule and predict some wins and losses for you. So without further ado, let's begin. Broncos begin their season against the Las Vegas Raiders at home. Raiders have some notable moves mostly regarding their quarterback. Carr is out and Garoppolo is in, which is I don't know. You guys feel like that moves the needle much for you?
For me, I personally liked Carr. I thought he was, he at least was very good against the Broncos at, those high completion percentage passes. So for me, I see Garoppolo as a step down, to be frank.
Step up in looks.
Yes.
Step down in skill set. I think you'll get similar production. He probably knows that system a little bit better, but he's limited and yeah. And I mean, who knows? His foot might not even work. So
yeah.
And that could be something.
Notably,
if the Raiders trip and fall and land into the first pick next year because they void Jimmy Garoppolo's and they just tank it, I'll be perturbed.
Yeah, I mean, with so many great quarterbacks, also, I mean, it's if they're you get the second pick or third pick, you're still possibly adding in a quarterback with a lot of great potential to the AFC West, which is already loaded.
They might stink anyway, so Jimmy or not Jimmy, but it's a Broncos dub, and I don't know what the line is right now, but they'll cover.
Yeah, probably. The other big
Give me a problem.
notable. Okay, all right. I'm sorry. Yes, I agree.
Have some conviction, man.
The other big,
one dub.
the big notable piece there is Darren Waller's also gone. He is a giant now, and so I don't know that they've done much to replace that talent. So Graham shooting his shots. I like it. But yeah, no, I just think they haven't done much to replace that talent. I don't know that you're going to get the same production out of Jacobs. And so I think that it's a dub. I think we all agree. Are we all agreeing that this is a dub?
So
sure.
I'm with
Oh,
you.
we got nice. You got Broncos minus 3.5. For sure. For sure. Good
and
call.
we got Jolene also going with a dub. We also have Graham with a dub. I think everyone is the consensus that this is going to be a win for the Broncos. So starting off 1-0, I like it.
Dub up.
All right. Next, the Broncos will face the Washington Commanders. Again, I believe this is a home game. Yes, a home game at Empower Field at Mile High. Again, I think that this is a winnable game. I think it's a winnable game. I think it is a bit tougher. Washington does have some good pieces on defense and a few threats on offense. I don't know that their quarterback situation with Sam Howell is
QB1.
I mean, yeah, QB1. I don't know that he, again, moves the needle too much for me, but it can't be much worse than what they had last year. So
I think he'll play better. I think Sam Howell. I think that they'll probably, especially with Eric Bieniemy, that they'll have some cohesion in their offensive game calling. I think that they'll have some more creative stuff. I don't know that they'll gel by then. They have a pretty good, in my opinion, skill position room. The defensive line that we know is really talented. I think they underperformed a bit last year with Jack Del Rio. We all know how that goes. But it's a dub. It's a dub. It was a dub last year. And Tyler Heineke was all right. I don't know that Sam Howell is a major upgrade. I don't know that he's not. But at home with a much improved roster, in my opinion, as well as a coaching staff that can manage the end of quarters and halves, as well as understand challenge rules and et cetera. I'll go all day. But not only will they win, but thanks for Avatar, they'll cover.
Yeah. I agree with you guys. This is one of those things where I do agree that their skill positions are very well set up. I mean, Dotson, I expect to kind of have a great second year, be able to help that offense. The question is Sam Howell going to be it? And I think they're only going to give him this year to see it, essentially, and decide if they need a quarterback again, in the future of next year. So this is a game the Broncos should take handily. With who they have, but I do agree that this is a dub, as most of our audience agrees. The Dungus has a W. We have Graham with a W as well. So I think we're all on that the Broncos can at this point 2-0.
What I will say though, and just in the Commanders' defense, their front four are pretty stout. You got Sweat, Payne, Allen, and Chase Young. That's going to be your biggest test for early test for your offensive line, especially the newly constructed line the way it is today. So
it's pretty crazy when
that they're more adept. You got Quinn Miners and you got Ben Power. So I'm more worried about inside than outside. I think Sweat and Chase Young are phenomenal, but those interior guys are. Yeah, that's the best pair in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is.
So the addition of Ben Powers and a healthy Quinn Miners, I think at minimum gives you some positive feelings there. We'll see about the center position, but that'll be something. And I assume that the Broncos will be a run heavy team. I think we've all agreed on that. That'll be a fun matchup. With McGlinchey and Bowles and Young, and then who. That's mano a mano, and that's good football, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're going dubs, right? Oh, John, finish up. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, obviously, I agree with the dub, and it's kind of weird to say that Young is basically the weak link on that defensive line. I mean, I understand we haven't seen it from Young, but it is kind of amazing that he is.
I mean, he's no Brian Burns,
You're just taking shots at Ohio State guys, and I don't appreciate it.
All right. Why
All
is
right.
it Adrian Hutchinson? You know,
There you
Yeah.
he's more like the Taco Truck.
Taco Charles. Oh gosh, Dallas loved that pick.
Next we got up.
So next we're moving Miami. So at Miami at Hard Rock Stadium, afternoon game. This is a tough one for me. I think this may be the first loss of the season. That offense is it's really tough.
Yeah.
You know, they've pretty much stayed pat. They've got Waddle and Hill. They did make some moves. I don't know. They re-signed their running backs, so Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson will come back. Tua, if he's healthy, I think he can be a good quarterback in this league. I think he's shown that he can be a good quarterback in this league. And they've got some good defensive players, as we know. Bradley Chubb was there, Jalen Phillips. I feel like this is maybe the first L, and part of that's being a road game too.
I'll let John chime in.
Okay. What was that?
I'll give you the floor. So go for it.
I agree with Jolene here. I think, again, the first East Coast game, those are always very tough. Going down to Miami, again, it's probably going to be hot and humid. Taking that step down, that makes a difference to me when going across. And again, like you were saying, the Dolphins are loaded on offense. So the Broncos really would have to be on top of their game, not allow the Dolphins to really make too much progression going down the field, not have long sustained drives essentially, or even those big play drives. So for me, this is going to come down to the Broncos defense. If they can hold and still stay as a top 5 defense, then there's an opportunity. But I do think this is going to be a loss, unfortunately, for Mike McDaniels, who went to Smoky Hill, just right where I live.
Yeah. I will concur. First East Coast game, super humid. That defense with Vic Fangio will be significantly improved, in my opinion. You got Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips outside. Yeah, Christian Wilkins inside. You probably have the best tandem of corners in the league with Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard. Javon Holland is a really nice player at safety. So I really like what they've done. I think defensively they're going to be much more improved. And then, if Tua is playing, I think that offense will be tough. If not, I mean, it's Mike White. Who knows? You might have a good opportunity, but
not a bad
being able to chalk this one up to an L, I think circumstantial. I think if this were in Denver, maybe you flip that. So I think that the Dolphins at this juncture, with everyone healthy, because you got to operate on the information you got, it's an L for the Broncos.
This might be your biggest test for Damari Mathis too, early on, to see what he's made of and if he can handle that CB2 spot.
Yeah, that's great.
I'll be interested to see how he does. I have hope that he can be our CB2. I know it's kind of up in the air, but that's offensively. You gotta be on your A game when you play those guys. So that'll be kind of fun to see how that plays out.
Yeah, and I think most people agree with us. We got Mundungus coming in here with an L, Graham coming in here as well with an L. Let us know if you think there's a W or an L here. Would appreciate that.
Yeah. Next game on the docket, the Denver Broncos go to Chicago, the Windy City, another afternoon game. This one's a little tougher for me. I don't know that the Bears have done a ton to make me worry. They have improved. They've got DJ Moore, Chase Claypool added to their offense, which I think is just a positive thing for them. They've got Donta Foreman and Khalil Herbert, and they picked up Roschon Johnson in the draft on the offense.
My guy.
Yeah, your guy, Roschon Johnson. We'll see how he ends up playing. But again, this one's tough just because you're on the road. I think at the end of the day, I probably have it as a W, though.
Oh, it's a W. I'll say resoundingly.
Well, Justin Fields, I mean, what do you think Justin Fields is for real?
No, he went to Ohio State. No, I think that he'll present some problems. His ability to run and get out of the pocket, I think it won't be a cakewalk because I think he's just that dynamic. DJ Moore versus Pat Surtain, I feel pretty good about that. Chase Claypool is a dude.
He's a jag.
Darnell Mooney is a good player. like our secondary. I like that matchup. Their offensive line is we'll see. I think Darnell Wright will be a nice player. Nate Davis was a good upgrade, but it's okay.
Yeah.
And then defensively, some good young players, Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, but TJ Edwards is their big pickup. Tremaine Edmonds, who has been a good player, but doesn't. I mean, I'm not that worried about it. So we'll see. I think that they just don't offer as much. And playing in Chicago in whatever September or October, whatever the early part is,
it's better than December.
Best time.
Yeah, better than December.
Yeah. I mean, it's manageable. It's a short flight, right? So I think that the Broncos will be sitting well. Finishing the first quarter of the season 3-1. I am up.
Yeah, I agree, though. I think the Bears are a team that should be very beatable. They did make improvements across the board. However,
they were terrible. So
yeah, I mean, they were technically the first pick. So, I mean, before it got traded. Yeah. So there was reasons why they were so bad. And I just don't see it, coalescing for the Bears. And I think Jolene brings up a great point. If the Broncos can essentially contain Fields, they'll win, because again, if you keep Fields in the pocket, he's going to feel antsy and he gets kind of not knowing where to go. So this is again a defensive where the edge rushers really have to get him going, and would love some interior pressure as well.
This will be the Drew Sanders game.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a guy that can physically match up, spy, be where he needs to be for a guy like Fields, I mean, that's your dude.
Yeah,
he can play inside, outside. He can move. I think it'll be a good matchup. I mean, Big E, I wouldn't be shocked. If they go down to Miami and win, because Miami can't underachieve. Tua is terrible.
And again, we've talked about this before. Fangio's defense, it can take some time to adjusting to. Obviously, Bradley Chubb,
they're going to give up yards in the 20s. They're going to do that.
Yeah.
And if this kicker is worth the salt, the Broncos might win this game 15-12. But but at minimum, we think 3-1 moving into a game at home against the New York Jets. And
I don't like this already, though. Like, I feel already too optimistic.
I feel great.
As your natural pessimist on the pod, I'm feeling already like I've predicted too many W's.
Yeah, he's like, we can't have nice things.
Yes, I do feel that way.
I have to admit, I'm agreeing with you a little bit here. It's just
shut your faces.
Why I don't feel it that way. I'm sorry.
Graham thinks the Bears will be a trap game. I think it could be. It could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
I don't know. I think after you just come off a loss, if that's the way that we see it, I don't know, you get trapped in that game. I think if they win the first three, especially if they go down to Miami and win, then I could see they're probably feeling themselves. You got your first road win against a formidable opponent, your old head coach, like all that jazz. Then maybe for sure, maybe you're like, all right, this is a cakewalk, especially because Chicago will probably be like 1-2 or something.
Yeah.
Well,
like you said, game 5 is against the New York Jets at Mile High. Another afternoon. It looks like everything's afternoon except for the primetime games.
Perfect.
I like them. I like the early games, but I'm an outlier.
I feel at home in 225.
I mean, I probably should, but Jets have made some improvements. They brought over Alan Lazard, so they're wide receivers 1 and 2 are Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard. Also brought over Mecole Hardman. Have a really solid offensive line, Dwayne Brown, Elijah Vera Tucker. They drafted Joe Tippmann, who we know you guys were fans of coming into the draft. And that defensive line is still tough. Carl Lawson, Quentin Williams, Quentin Jefferson. A good team. I may lean L on this one. I think I'm going to lean L on this one. I just think they're a talented team, and I think, of course, I didn't mention Aaron Rodgers. I probably should have led with that, but
yeah, that's a good point to lead with.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just they're like the up and coming team to me. If they can get consistent quarterback play, I think that they have underachieved the last few years. I think good quarterback play will bring them to that next level.
Yeah, I'm in. I think this team is going to be much better, obviously, with Aaron Rodgers and Hackett combining for once. to hopefully make a good coaching and quarterback relationship, and everything's working out there. And Aaron Rodgers already knows he fits the mold for Hackett and how he does offensive coordinating. And otherwise, I like what this defense can do. Obviously, with Quentin Williams, you hope they'll solve that contract by that time. So the Broncos will have to. You don't think so? If they don't solve it, then hey, that will change how I view this game. But yeah, I think this is going to be another tough one on the defensive line, and I think you're going to be in for a battle, but I still think the Broncos in the end come out with a W. It's going to be a fight though, and I think the Broncos really have to stuff the run and make the Jets throw the ball.
Yeah, I see your concerns, JT. I think that there will be really, you looked at this and you're like, if Aaron Rodgers, if they can get competent quarterback play, they'll be a good team. I also think there's like organizational history. I don't know. Robert Saleh is a really good defensive coordinator. I don't know what his impact is as a head coach. I don't know how he's going to manage this team. How does he mesh with Aaron Rodgers? I think that all of that will be interesting. Nathaniel Hackett didn't call plays in Green Bay. You got to play the good. You got to play the good cop. Essentially, in his role, it'll be interesting to see if he just lets Aaron Rodgers do what Aaron Rodgers wants to do, and maybe that works out like roses, and maybe it doesn't. And getting a guy like that in check once you let him go. I mean, we saw that last year. You couldn't bring in Russ from that leash when you gave him all the keys to the kingdom. So they also got several guys coming back from major injury. Vera Tucker, Dwayne Brown. I like Tittman, and he's going to be a rookie in this league, and that's going to be hard to pick up. So I wouldn't be shocked if he struggles for a little bit. Breece Hall is coming off an ACL injury, so who knows how he's going to perform. So I think that this defense, especially kind of their secondary outside of Sauce Gardner, I think DJ Reed is a nice player. Not overly worried about him in terms of matchups, and their linebackers are pretty good. Their front four is kind of the strength of their team. So if this offensive line is worth their salt, I think you can have some success offensively. The Broncos version with Teddy Bridgewater did against that team. It was slow, but they were able to run the ball pretty well with a lot of the same players. So I think it'll be a dub. I think Aaron Rodgers, as our man Big E had stated, starts off slow. I think that there will be some issues with this offense in the early going, and I think this is a must-have win for the Broncos. So I think they pull out the dub.
Yeah.
Jolene asked though, is week 5 still considered early? Is that, will he start slow? I think by week 5 you're picking up steam.
I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers' performance last year and the years before. I mean, usually is it early? I guess in relative terms to the season. Is it early as in excuses? No, but playing at Denver on the road is different, and I bet with a good product on the field, he's going to have some struggles, I think. So I'm excited about that matchup. I think, one, that's a team vying for playoff contention. If you can chalk up some wins against that, especially with the rule changes that we talked about last pod, strength of schedule will be huge. I think you're catching them at least earlier in the year before they had time to gel. If that's week 10 or week 11, I think, they are into who they are.
Yeah.
I think by week 5, they have an idea of who they are. The Broncos will too. I mean, it's a new system for the Broncos as well. But I just have more confidence in Sean Payton running an offense and getting production than I do in Nathaniel Hackett being the OC, even though it's Aaron Rodgers and it's similar stuff. His skill set of calling plays is not very good. And I don't know the Aaron Rodgers impact on, if a bad plays come in, what's his freedom to adjust it, and does that team know it by then? So, yeah, I don't think that they'll be the juggernaut that they believe that they will be. The New York Jets fans think they will be, and I think that'll be a dub for the Broncos.
All right. Is that an L, 2 L's and a dub? So is that technically an L?
Yeah, no. Wait,
John, did you say dub?
I didn't quite say an L there. I'm going with a dub though in the end. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Then I got outvoted. It's a dub.
Right. So we got 4-1.
We're 4-1, very close to what you said, Big E.
Going to Kansas City.
I'm less less optimistic. However, I'm happy that everyone else is feeling better than me. Yes, Thursday night game at Kansas City in Arrowhead. This is a tough one. I mean, Kansas City is essentially the same team that they fielded last year. They lost a few pieces, replaced a few pieces, but I don't know. I feel like this team is, exactly what you expect that they're going to be. They're going to be playing for Super Bowl. Orlando Brown took off. They brought in Juwan Taylor. They cut Frank Clark. But I don't think that changes much as far as their outlook. They're a well-coached team. They have the best quarterback, if not one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Apparently, whoever you plug in there can catch balls for him. So I'm going to take an L on this one.
Yeah.
Just kidding. As much as I think that the Broncos could win this game, as the track record of playing them really close, it's like Paul Walker in Fast and Furious. I almost had you, dude. I almost had you. That's the Broncos right now. And the Chiefs, as Vin Diesel, are like, quarter inch or a mile, right? So I think at home, probably, with an improved Broncos team chomping at the bit, I think that the Chiefs get up for that game. I think that Andy Reid is probably the one coach that Sean Payton will face this year, one of a couple where it's really an even matchup in terms of preparation and game planning. And that team has been together. Like you said, it's essentially the same team for the most part. So I think the Chiefs probably win at home. And I think the Broncos take some really good notes for the matchup in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I think this game is actually a winnable contest. I think a lot of the times, if we looked at last year, for example, I know there's been changes with the Broncos, but the Broncos stayed around with the Kansas City Chiefs. We saw Russell Wilson start, in Kansas City, start leading some comebacks, start leading to more of that. So I don't think that this is a lost cause by any means. The Broncos can definitely gain the possibility to win this. And so for me, I think this is still a toss-up. I mean, I think Kansas City does come with the win, down with the win, but I think the Broncos can, like last year, feel like they competed with the Chiefs and they're just as strong as the Chiefs. So they shouldn't be threatened at all when it comes to down the line playing them in 2 weeks.
What I will say, the thing that makes me feel better is that we're more evenly matched coaching wise. These are two established coaches that are going to go head to head that have a track record of success. And so if nothing else, Andy Reid's not blowing the Broncos out of the water with coaching necessarily. Now, will they still win? That remains to be seen. But I do like our chances with the more effective coaching staff in place. I think we're going with a loss on that one, unfortunately. Sunday, October 22nd, week 7, at Mile High versus the Green Bay Packers. I have this as a win. I don't particularly fear Jordan Love.
You're not on that hype train?
I haven't seen.
He had some great preseason passes last year. Are you sure? Those were some perfect passes in preseason.
Maybe matters. I don't know. Russ might have benefited from a preseason. But they're just young, they're especially their skill positions, Christian Watson has potential to be really good. Romeo Dobbs, I think, has some really good upside. They still have Aaron Jones on offense. I don't think that they're completely bare, on offense, but I don't see a lot of threat there, especially with the personnel that we have. And then on defense, their corners are pretty solid. They've got Jair Alexander, Rasul Douglas, some nice players, but no one that really jumps out at me as someone who will shut down the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think the Packers, unfortunately with Rodgers leaving, this team is very young. Like you said, a lot of potential, a lot of guys you could see maybe in a couple of years breaking out with the right, again, if Jordan Love is right, because you do have a solid offensive line, at least with Bakhtiari. And I really do think, though, that this Green Bay Packer game should be a easy win for the Broncos. They have to take advantage of a Green Bay Packers team that is just the weakest out of the NFC North at this point. So for me, this is a must-win almost, just because of the opponent level. It would be concerning to me if the Broncos lost this game.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But hey, good point here with Jolene. Green Bay coming off a bye week, Denver coming off Thursday Night Football, so both should be rested. But she has a W for the home team. Same thing with Graham here, has a W here. So again, keep those coming in. Let us know how you're feeling.
Well, I mean, both of you voted dub, so I mean,
but still, I want to know your thought. Tell me.
Yeah, I think that this team has a lot of talent. Their offensive line is really good. Defensively, they've invested a lot of number one picks over there from Quay Walker, Devontae Wyatt, Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary. I mean, Jair Anderson, Darnell Savage. I mean, those are all first-round picks over the last 6 or 7 seasons, all on that side of the ball, which I just think is something of note. So, and probably a team that will play more to its identity since Aaron Rodgers has moved on. I think it'll be a tougher matchup than maybe we would hope that it is, but I do think that the Broncos defense versus the skill players with Green Bay, I think that matchup goes to the Broncos. I think offensively they'll be able to do enough to get a win. So I would agree. I think it'll be a win, but I wouldn't be shocked if they come in and and show some good stuff. That offense is hard to prepare for. That stretch offense that we were hoping to see.
Yeah. And I think Jones fits it perfectly. He's a perfect back for that system.
Yeah. I think that they'll look pretty tough. And so we'll see. But in the end, I think Jordan Love is a dude, and the Broncos should win that game.
Yeah. Would agree. All right. Next game, we're going at home against the Kansas City Chiefs. Odd that we play Kansas City twice in the first half of the season. That's not typical for the way it's shaken out the last few years. How do we feel about the Broncos at home against Kansas City? I don't know. My negative, my natural negativity tends to take over in these points. However, I do think it should be close. I don't think it'll be a runaway. To me, it's going to be about hurts. Oh, yeah, I know. We're not favored. I don't know. I think it's got to be a complete game plan. I think you've got to take advantage of the possessions that you have, and I think we need a healthy Javonte Williams to really run the ball well if we're gonna, to slow the game down a little bit, play the game at our pace. But I don't know. It's still tough for me to imagine a W just because of the dominance of Kansas City lately. So I'm going to lean L, unfortunately.
It has to come to an end, the streak. It is time. I know, Jolene, I'm so desperate for a win versus Kansas City. It has been a long time. And again, I keep saying that the Broncos can stay with the Chiefs. So I'm going to go out on a limb here, say they get the W at home. The fans will be pumped up, be loud, make Kansas City make some mistakes. I understand Patrick Mahomes works his magic whenever he just works his magic. But here's the thing. For once, I just think the Broncos are going to be motivated. They're going to be prepared with their coaching staff. They're going to come out here and get a W to change how people perceive the Broncos and how that season will go, because that'll make a huge difference in the locker room for the guys that have been there for a while.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of notes, right? They played them 2 weeks before. I do think that the game before this one for the Chiefs is the Chargers. So I think that one, they can't look past that game to game plan for the Broncos game. And I think that Sean Payton is probably, red letter game, this kind of thing. Bill McCartney with Nebraska back in the day. I mean, I think he understands how much that means to this region. And if he can be the guy that breaks that streak, that will mean a lot. And I think Sean Payton is smart. So I bet that they'll have some things in store, especially playing at home. I think that the Broncos will be able to get some significant pressure. Donovan Smith was really struggled last year. if he isn't injured by this time next year, then I think he's liable. There, I think with the sound and how loud it is, I think the Broncos will be able to get pressure. Sky Moore is a nice player. Not overly worried about that. Kadarius Toney is a gadget guy who can play a little bit. And then Marquez Scantling is a straight line guy. So I feel good about our secondary being able to match up. I bet that they'll come prepared with a game plan for Travis Kelce again, double until you can't. And they had success running down their throat. It's the same defense essentially as last year. And I think this offensive line will be better. And I think they'll be able to control the ball even better than last year. And I think they did a tremendous job last year with a terrible, team. And I'm going to go, they break it. I'm going to go, they break it. It'll be kind of 5-2 Denver against 6-1. I assume something like that. Kansas City Chiefs at home. It'll be a big dub.
Yeah, that'll be very exciting, and we'll lead into the bye week very nicely for this team to get re-energized, get healthy after a few tough battles. And I'll let you take it from here, JT.
I would just remember a little bit with with Drew Sanders. I think I talked about that with the ability to spy and move around with Justin Fields. I bet that's a guy that will get much more heavy rotation as the season goes on. And a game like that kind of heat-seeking missile who can rush the passer, can defend the run, kind of playing from the box. It's a little bit different than some of the guys that they've had in the past to be able to create some problems for him. Yeah. So I wouldn't be shocked.
Kind of like Alexander Johnson in the past, but with a few more, additional skill sets, I think. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Right. There's a little bit more to him because, again, Johnson was, playing, out of football for so long. Well, that's another topic.
Yeah. So what are we going into the bye week?
We are 6-2 going into the bye. Not bad.
Ooh, good. Feeling real good.
Good. We're coming out of the bye and going to Buffalo. I mean, if you're going to go play Buffalo, that is the time. This is a Monday night game. Broncos should be rested. They should be ready to go. Biggie says by week 10, Von Miller will be injured, which is a possibility.
Yeah.
Buffalo's still a tough team. I don't know that they have the depth that they had last year. But they're still a team. It's a tough place to go, especially in November. Weather's probably going to be bad. I think, again, it's going to depend on the running game, how much we can establish that running game early, kind of control possessions, etc. But I'm taking an L.
Yeah, I mean,
I would agree. I think this will be a game where this is a litmus test game. This is the game that I probably will be at, actually.
In Buffalo? You're going to Buffalo?
Yeah, playing a little bit.
Meeting the fam out there?
I'm just saying. There will be an extra ticket if you know a guy.
All right. I'll keep that in mind.
So we excited about that game. But I think this is a game where if you can really run the ball at this time of the year, I think the Broncos will have a chance. And I think a good chance. That team is softer, and maybe they want to change their identity a little bit, but the Bills last year were a team that really couldn't run the ball when they wanted to and got ran on quite a bit. And so, if you're in a passing game track meet, it's going to be rough. But I think if you're able to really create and commit to running the ball, I'm excited about their opportunities. I think that this could be a game where they really make or break the perception of them. Are they for real? Yeah, they beat Kansas City at home, but blah, blah, blah. This would be a game where if they show out well, we'll really get the attention of kind of our national media. So I would assume that this one will be a loss. I think that's a tough matchup in the middle of November, East Coast, even though it's after their bye. But I would not be shocked if they win this game. I would actually be more shocked if they win in Kansas City that first week, try, than if they won this game because of I think by then game plan will be set. They'll know who they are. They'll have a real identity, and if they're really running the ball, like I assume that they want to be by then this could be a really tough team.
Yeah, I agree. They did. I'm interested to see what this offense looks like because. Presumably James Cook or Damian Harris will be your lead back. They'll probably split time. They drafted Dalton Kincaid, which I thought was interesting. They have Dawson Knox, but behind Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs, they don't have anyone that I feel great about catching the ball. Deontay Hardy, Trent Sherfield, Khalil Shakir, Justin Shorter. Like, these are guys that are yet to have a huge impact in the league. And so I'll be interested to see what that offense looks like, John.
Yeah, I think this game is going to be a tough game for the Broncos. I think even with the bye week, with that extra time to prepare, coming off feeling good, I think this is a loss for the Broncos. I think this is going to be a much closer game and a game that Broncos fans should feel good about at the end of the day. But again, it's one of those things where I think this is a little too much right now for the Broncos. And we see, though, plenty of people in our comments are taking the W with them. So we have, I think, 2 W's with it. That's huge. And like Big E saying, watch Sean Payton's win record after a bye. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I do know that he's been very, very high at that level. So he has time to prepare. That's great.
All right. So we're going L at the end of the day, unfortunately.
Still. 6-3, though.
I'm glad that the listeners are more optimistic again than me. So I will give them all the credit in the world for that. The next game on the schedule is Minnesota at home, at Mile High, I should say. Sunday night game on NBC. This team is kind of a funny one for me. I don't know that they got better, and maybe in some ways have gotten worse. Cousins is going to be your quarterback. You still have Justin Jefferson, KJ Osborne, some talented players. Maybe Dalvin Cook remains to be seen. Nick wants Dalvin Cook in Denver, so he doesn't think so.
No, I don't hope so. But we talked about the fact that Javonte Williams was out on the field makes me feel like
that changed things.
That's significant change, but that would be sweet.
I mean, I think you've got to be able to keep up offensively with this team, and I hope that the Broncos can do that. I think it'll be interesting to see what the game plan is. I don't know. I would lean W. I think a home game, Minnesota coming here. This is probably one that is attainable, but I don't feel confidently about it.
Yeah, when it comes to this one for me, I think that the Vikings made a lot of lateral moves when they signed some players, let some players go. I don't think they made any huge improvements to make me say, hey, this team is going to take that next step. And even though, they even took a step back in that receiver room with losing Adam Thielen. I understand they got Addison from the draft, but look, he's a rookie receiver, and it takes time to develop. So we'll have to see how that goes. They have Hawkinson, but again, Hawkinson never really came out in Detroit when he did when he was healthy, but he was injured often. So we'll see there. But for me, this is a W for the Broncos.
I will say Addison was my wide receiver 1 in the draft, so I think he's talented, and I think by this time of the season he could start clicking.
Yeah, definitely. This late, he should be kind of coming into his own.
And I like Jolene's comment, primetime Cousins W for Denver. Yeah, that does seem to be the trend with him. So,
I mean, that's literally my point. Him playing winning, teams with a winning record in primetime, he's terrible.
I still like Cousins, but I agree. He has his issues. And
yep, I think the Broncos will be able to get significant pressure, and in doing so, Kirk Cousins is a guy that will YOLO, but doesn't have the arm to YOLO. And not only, if it's 1.5, the Broncos are easy covering. Even Elliott Fry can't mess this up.
But I did, again, let me look real quick. Was this a primetime game?
Yes, it's a Monday night. Or Sunday night, sorry.
For me, I'm always as Jolene was saying earlier, I should have noticed from her comment, excuse me. I personally have a superstition about primetime games. They just make me more nervous. I think the Broncos, for some reason, I just have it in my feeling for my whole entire life, they kind of go down to their opponent's level. That's just been something I've tend to have my superstitions for.
So are you predicting an L?
I'm still going with a W.
Okay,
but
right.
It makes me a lot more trepidatious.
I will say it'll be the Justin Jefferson Pat Surtain battle will be immaculate.
That'll be fun.
That'll be a lot of fun. All right, we're giving a W to Broncos against the Vikings. Follow that up with a home game against the Cleveland Browns, Sunday afternoon game. The Browns don't scare me. Deshaun Watson hasn't done anything close to what was expected of him, coming in, and I'm just not going to root for that guy anyways. Nick Chubb scares me. He's about the only guy, to be honest. Amari Cooper will have moments. And of course you got to contain Myles Garrett, but at the end of the day, I think the Broncos are a more complete team. I think they take a W on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys, I've told people on this podcast, through, on Twitter, everyone, if anyone, talks to me on that, they know how much Cleveland is my most hated team.
Yeah.
This is a must win. I have this above the Chiefs, above the Chargers, Raiders. This is my enemy when it comes to football teams. So this is a win for me. This is something where the Broncos have to come out. I'm expecting them to win by 20 plus points. Let's just make it an embarrassment. I don't expect, Hopkins to be in Cleveland like some people do as rumors. I think they're going to have average receivers and Watson will kind of overthrow them. And I'm excited with this W that we're going to have, guys, because it's going to come.
Hey,
this is our game where we dominate from start to finish.
You're calling a 20-point win. That is some guts, I will say right there. I like it.
I mean, never mind. I like what Cleveland did in the offseason. I thought Cedric Tillman was a really nice draft pick.
Yeah.
Trade for Elijah Moore for peanuts. I think that was phenomenal. DeJuan Jones and Luke Whippler, as additional depth to a pretty good offensive line, I think was smart. The addition of Zadarius Smith to a pretty talented defense, I think
that was a great move. I have to.
Yeah, I think is super, super smart. I just don't like the marriage of the offense that they want to run with Deshaun Watson's skill set. I think it's either going to be a home run or it's going to be terrible. I also will not root for Deshaun Watson. And I think the way that the Browns have done business makes me sour on the whole franchise. So I'll never root for that team. That's for sure. Until new ownership, new whole thing comes in, and that won't be for a while. But it's a good roster. If you look at names, you look at talent.
Yeah. DeMarvin Leal is someone I'm looking, to maybe have a nice little breakout season. 3rd round pick from last year. Would hope he doesn't, in certain ways, but obviously he's someone who I thought was, had some potential really out of A&M.
Yep. Yeah. So it's I think the Broncos will win. I think the edge will be in coaching.
Okay.
I think Stefanski, I don't know, just hasn't been that great. I do like the addition to Jim Schwartz as their DC. I think he's more steady, and I think he'll have them playing more sound football. That said, I just feel pretty good about Sean Payton and his ability to be able to scheme. Their receivers are good, but Amari Jones is like the Kirk Cousins of receivers. So,
Amari Cooper.
I mean, I think you feel really good with Pat Surtain on him, and then the matchup of Damari Mathis and K'Wan Williams versus they're 2 and 3. I think you feel really good about. And so if the Broncos can contain the run, which I think will be a question early, that should be a game that they'll win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we got. Oh, go ahead, John.
I was just going to say, it felt like the chat agreed with us. So that's, I think, is definitely the dub.
Taking a dub there. Then we've got at Houston, week 13, getting into December, playing a warm weather game in December, which would be nice.
Yeah. If they open up
that away game. What's that?
Yeah, if they open it, that roof opens, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think so. I would assume.
But a game that's winnable and a game that the Broncos should take. I like Davis Mills. I don't think he's a world beater. They've got some nice pieces. I actually do like Nico Collins quite a bit, even though he played for Michigan, and I will hold that against him forever. Bobby Trees, Robert Woods is a good complimentary wide receiver over there. At the end of the day, I don't know that they have enough firepower still. They haven't really kicked that losing record in a while, that losing culture, unlike the Nuggets and the Heat. They haven't been able to kick it, and I don't know that this is the year that they're gonna shock the world. Though I do think that division is attainable. So you play a little bit above your head, you might be able to make some noise in that division. So we'll see. But I'm gonna say an L for Houston.
Yeah, I think offensively they're just not that talented. CJ Stroud. I think that they are smart. They went and invested a little bit more offensive line. Juice Scruggs at center, who I think is a talented player. We'll see. Shaq Mason, an older but really good vet at right guard. That first round pick and Kenyon Green last year. So, a lot. And Laramie Tunsil is one of the highest paid players in the league, let alone
probably one of the best offensive linemen. Yeah.
Added Dalton Schultz. So, I think it's like a steady offense, no real game breakers, but some talent, I think. And, I think the floor will be raised. I think that this will be a competitive game. But I think if you're just to go on paper, that's all we can do right now, I think that they win.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I agree with you guys with the Texans. Obviously, that line's coming together. They're looking for Titus Howard to give him a new deal. And, I just feel like, again, the Texans are doing things the right way to grow. But they did take a lot of Broncos kind of fringe players and added them to their roster. So we know that their depth is not as strong. I think when it comes to Scruggs at center, let's be honest, for me, that was the reach of the whole NFL draft. I think that's what I would say, to be honest. I like the Houston Texans, honestly.
Sure.
They're a team I root for because when Gary Kubiak went there, they were just someone easy to root for, and I got along with in terms of not seen as a threat either, though. So I think this is a W, but they're on the right trajectory, and that's really all you can hope for.
Yeah, I mean, they did get some nice pieces. Schultz is a nice piece, like Doc mentioned. Damian Pierce had a great year last year. They added Singletary to back him up a little bit. Our guy Mike Boone went there. So the running back room is pretty
Andrew
solid.
Beck. I mean, there was definitely a list of
Andrew
Broncos
Beck,
that went there.
Mm-hmm. Which seems to be a trend year after year.
Yeah,
which is kind of fun. Another reason it's easy to root for him at times. But a W nonetheless for the Broncos, and hopefully an easy W at that.
Wow. We are dominating this season.
LA Chargers, a challenging one in December. Again, we're getting another warm weather game, which, let's take it. Those warm weather games in December, you don't always get them, especially even playing at home.
Yeah.
So at LA, the first game against the Chargers, LA, they didn't move the needle too much for me in the off season. They did bring on Eric Kendricks, which I think was a really nice addition for them.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he filled a void for them. Outside of that, I'm not sure that they did a ton to improve. I do like Donald Parham Jr. If he's healthy, as a potential sneaky offensive threat for them. Health is going to be a big thing for them, as it is every year. And I think if they're healthy, then they're a really good squad. I don't know. I'm hedging my bets. I might see what you guys say. See if you can convince me one way or the other.
Well, I'll say this: when it comes to the Chargers, I felt like, again, they made a lot of moves that are down the road, essentially getting prepared for 2024 when they do have to move on from Mike Williams or Keenan Allen. They kind of have to. That's why they drafted Johnston. That's what I'm starting to see what they're doing. And again, they may have some pieces that are there, but again, I think by this time in the season, the Broncos should be doing pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
If they're doing this well, obviously at this point, since like the wins we've been talking about, the Broncos obviously are firing on all cylinders. And I think that the same would have to be done for the Los Angeles Chargers to keep up with the Broncos. So I think this would be a high-fired game in terms of, there's going to be a lot of passing. What about you, Doc?
Yeah, I mean, it's the one team the Broncos have had success against in this division, with I know maybe when they shouldn't have. I don't know. I think it'll be a tough game though. I would be shocked if the Broncos, go sweep the Chargers. I think that they're going to have a much better offensive coordinated plan that will play better to the strength of their quarterback. So as much as this pains pains for me to say it. There we go. I think it's an L. Sadly, you can't have the rosy glasses on all the time.
Yeah,
I'm on all the time. So I think you have to plan at, if you go 4-2 in this division or any division, that's a really good season. I think planning on or expecting anything more than that would be a fool's errand. So no, but again, it's one of those games where if they came back from LA with a dub, considering everything, I wouldn't be shocked either.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go L. Sorry, John. You made a good argument. I don't know you can get 2 games against this team.
Yeah,
it's tough. It's a good squad. They brought Eckler back, which I was hoping to see him go elsewhere.
Yep.
I do like the addition of Quentin Johnson. I think that does help them in the long term, especially if he can be healthy, which a lot of their receivers haven't been historically. And then you just can't forget, if Joey Bosa is healthy, he's a beast. If Derwin James is healthy, he's a beast. Sayonta Samuel Jr. is a good cornerback for them.
And
I just think
Khalil Mack.
Yeah,
if he can get back to where he's at, I mean, that's a dangerous. It's a dangerous front again with these guys. Though health with Mack, health with Bosa.
Yeah, health with pretty much the whole roster.
Yeah, really, that's what it's been. They're good on paper, but we'll see. They also, Brandon Staley has not, for as much as I like him as an intellect, I like his approach to the game. I think there's some games where his aggressiveness, and it, really helps them out, but in other games it really costs them. Why they're playing their starters as long as they did last year against the Broncos in a game that didn't matter. Shocking how they blew a 27-point lead. So if things are even getting to that point, and the Broncos and Chargers match up, you got to feel good about Sean Payton versus Brandon Staley.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So we're taking an L on that one. Unfortunate. Where are we at, Doc? Where are we at with our wins and losses?
We got a 8-4.
Ooh, looking like
Still
some
pretty
playoff
solid.
push now.
Yeah, we're getting down to the wire. Let's run through these last 4. We are definitely overtime today, so we apologize for that. But we gotta finish it out. So we're gonna finish it out strong. Week 15, to be determined. This game is still up in the air, probably depending on team records, etc. But it's going to be at Detroit at Ford Field. This is a team that is just a talented team that is well coached. I think they played maybe a little over their heads last year, but they have a lot of nice pieces. Yeah, as Avatar says in the chat, the Lions are favored by 2.5. I think that I'm going to lean L on this one, unfortunately. I like the pieces that the Lions have in place, and I'm not sure at this point in time you go on the road and you get that win.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think by that time they get Williams back from the suspension due to him making some gambles. I think that line's going to be looking a lot better, at least in terms of depth as well. They brought obviously Glasgow, and you guys know how I feel about him. So he's going to be the right guard, and then they have someone great behind him. So I really like the depth that they have. And again, they went ahead, drafted a good tight end for them to go ahead and replace Hawkinson. So I really do like what the Lions have done. And again, I think one of their weaker spots in defensive tackle is really where the Broncos should be attacking with their run game in order to kind of get this game to be a win. It has to be a run game win. What are your thoughts, Doc?
Yeah, it's I think that they're going to be they're a fun team. Defensively, I still look at their roster and say, like, maybe. It's not that worrisome to me, at least on paper. Jack Campbell, that's first round linebackers. especially kind of inside linebackers. We'll see if that's going to be a big hit. I think their defensive line outside of Hutchinson is okay. And so I think that the Broncos should be able to really control the game that way. I think offensively they are dynamic. We'll see what Jared Goff can do really when it's, when they're playing for the franchise's identity and getting back to the playoffs and all the misery that they've experienced over the last several years. Talented receiver room, but not one outside of St. Brown that I'm overly worried about. I think that the Broncos will go in and win that game. Mm-hmm. I think the Lions worry me, but I feel like the Broncos are going to be a much better team at that point in time. It's also a non-division game. Broncos coming off a loss probably would be a little extra motivated. I think that the Lions might be the in the driver's seat for that Central, and so maybe that's a game that they understand, or go in lackadaisical or whatever. I think being able to chalk some of that up. So I think it's a dub.
I think that's an L though, right?
Yeah. Overall, it's us two with a loss and
voted.
And even if we were to take in the fans, I mean, we have kind of split there. So honestly, I think this is going to be a tight game. Everyone, is on.
Everyone
to
save this and know when it happens
that you were the different,
as the kids say. I told you so.
Hashtag receipts.
Yep. Yes, exactly.
All right, let's run through these last ones. We got at home against New England on Week 16. Another Sunday night game. That's a dub for you.
Mac Jones can't throw in the cold. Their skill players are zero. I think our offensive line is in transition. They'll probably play better defensively than maybe their roster will suggest. But I think that they're going to really struggle. I think they're really going to struggle this year. I'm not a Mac Jones guy. I think especially when you have guys that can't separate against a secondary like the Broncos and they can really load up against the run. I think it's a dub, like solid dub. Like,
yeah, I'd agree. I think
Jolene knows what's up.
She knows.
Graham knows what's up.
I think it's a dub. That offense, like you said, it doesn't scare me. There's nothing quite there that has me concerned. Like, I'm not a Mac Jones guy either. Maybe we'll see Bailey Zappi even at that point in the year. We'll see.
Yeah.
Juju Smith-Schuster was an addition.
It was an addition. That's the way that phrase it. There wasn't not a key, not an upgrade. There was an addition.
Right.
That's what it was. So
I don't know how many years I spent hoping Devontae Parker would work out for my fantasy football team, but too many. The one player I do like on this team is Ramondre Stevenson. I think he's a monster. But he's not enough to win you a game, against a talented team. So I'm going to go W.
Yeah, I'll keep it pretty simple. The Patriots need to run the ball to win, and I just don't think they have enough opportunities in the end with the Broncos to keep up with the offense. So I agree with everyone. Also, I think, like Jolene is saying, it's on Christmas Eve. So maybe like the Germans, Bill Belichick gives your gifts day before, and they all get cold, and they're all not feeling it. So It sounds like an easy W to me. It sounds like they'll get some gifts, maybe.
Yep, I'm taking a dub. We're taking a dub. That's good. I feel better because I felt like I've been really pessimistic lately. So,
I mean, it's fine. It's fine.
I mean, if you put in Hopkins there, I don't think it's saving the pass.
It's still a dub to me. One good receiver doesn't make 10.
Not much you can do about that. Then we've got LA Chargers at home against LA Chargers. I'm going to give them a W. I think they can split that series.
Gave him one. Here, crowd noise. Herbert will throw us the ball twice, as he's done like every time that he's been here. And I think that the Broncos defense will show out. I think this is a game to really put them into the playoffs, if not, give them a real strong opportunity. So I got a dub.
Got a dub. I got a dub too. John, you got a dub?
I have a dub as well. This is where they have to stamp, like you said, stamp your passport and say you're into the playoffs. This is your time.
All right.
So the question I have real quick as we go into this game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure you didn't forget about the last week.
No. So you got, as I have it on chalk, 11-5 Denver Broncos.
Man,
The 3-13 Raiders, probably something like that.
Yeah.
The question as I go into this game is what are they playing for?
Sure.
mm-hmm.
And if things bode right, like on paper they should win this game as we have them, kind of going through the season. But are they in a spot where it's like, hey, and I haven't really looked at what Sean Payton's record is, or what his philosophy is when there's no gain, is he a guy that gives his guys PT or not? So just something to note as we chew on it a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you're looking at the rosters the way they're constructed now, it's a W.
That's how it is. It won't get better for the Raiders. I'll tell you that.
No. And I think, maybe they want to play, they want to upset people up at the end of the season.
Yeah. They'll put some stuff in, I think, but I think it'll be a dub. I think that Sean Payton will understand that he wants to, own this division, or he wants to put his stamp on it. I think a 12-5 record sounds better than 11-6, even though it's one game. That 12 spot, I think that also maybe even puts you contention for the division. Maybe not, but going 4-2 in this division, 12-5, I think a pretty impressive record within conference. And I think we had them playing really well against some teams that I assume will be in the hunt for some playoffs. The Chiefs, the Chargers, the Jets. I think some teams that will play pretty well. So I got a dub, finishing at 12-5. What about you,
Dub, John?
Yeah, I'm with everybody. This is going to be a dub, and the Broncos are going to be, as Jolene said, let's go to the playoffs and just get into the dance, and then anyone has a chance. Any given Sunday.
The Denver Broncos.
To go with the
Denver Nuggets.
Wubbitswation.
Yeah,
Wubbitswation. Yeah, I'm ready for
maybe.
It's been far too long. Too long.
Oh man, can you imagine again? Like what a home playoff? But imagine if they got a home playoff game for the first time since 2016 in the calendar.
I would,
I was there. I was there the last game.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I'm holding my breath.
Yeah,
I'm holding my breath a little bit. I want it to.
Don't hold your breath because it's going to be a long time.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I wouldn't last very long, maybe.
No, you'll probably pass out and
die. Well, there you have it, folks. We got a winning record, a playoff record.
Hey, and the Rockies are winning 4-2. Nice shot.
Hey, there you go.
W's everywhere.
W's everywhere.
Denver, Colorado.
All right, you're going a little overboard now.
I am.
All right.
No,
but thank you everyone for watching. We're going to call it here. We appreciate you as always. Go check us out on our social medias if you haven't already. At @DR_and_Manning, at JTMatthew01, and at Jon Kay NFL, and of course at Orange_and_Brew on Twitter and Instagram. Man, I love being able to interact live. That's the coolest thing about this change that we've made, and we appreciate all of you. Follow Mile High Roundtable wherever you can. Follow us wherever you can. But thank you so much. Be kind to one another. Be safe, and go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, go.